our podcast today is all about goals.
Yeah.
But we touched a little bit on it last week, so that was really exciting.
Actually, I'm genuinely curious. We had a talk last week about your gym jitters, and
Yes.
you've gone to the gym.
I did.
You started your goal.
I did. So I went to the gym on Tuesday during my lunch break.
Yeah.
And that one I went right in. I was really excited. I didn't have to sit in the car for 30 minutes. So that was really nice. And then I went, and you remember asking about like if I felt really good or energized or like motivated
I wanted to
afterwards.
see how you felt.
It was terrible. But actually I went back to strongman training on Friday. And so there, I felt great. Like afterwards I was driving home, jamming out. And so I was really excited. And that's when I was like, yeah, let's go get motivated again. And we'll go more into detail when we get into our goal aspect. But I was really stoked. I was excited. I didn't feel it at the gym, but I felt it at Strongman.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome.
I'm really excited to hear all about it. But before we get into that, we are actually going to discuss a little bit more about goals, in specific how to start your goals and how to start smart.
Smart goals!
We had a little podcast episode too, ironically enough,
so
in the past, where we talked about smart goals. Allie did a lot of research on that. So rather than making you waste all your time in the past, we are just going to rewind that when we go into the smart goals. But for the time being, let's talk about...
So what are we going to be using today? I goofed and forgot my tarot, but luckily she has like 5 decks.
So this one is my Dark Woods Tarot by Sasha Graham, and the art is by Abigail Larson. I followed Abigail on DeviantArt since I was a child. So as soon as I saw that she had participated in a tarot deck, I had to pitch in.
Mm-hmm.
I had
to we're already jumping. I've barely shuffled. So we got 2 today. Are we doing 1 or 2? We got King of Cups. What you got?
I got the Ace of Wands.
Oh, wow. Perfect. So we're going to stick with these 2 today. Make it a little more interesting.
I think so.
Okay. Let's go for it.
Okay. So the first card that fell out was the Ace of Wands, and I want you to do the description this time. That's
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, no, of course. So the Ace of Wands, it is a burning wand. It is in this like skeleton hand, just slightly barely touching it. A coming out of a cloud. And then we have this bright orange flame at the top. It's also the background a little dark. So it's almost like the light in a darkness is how the vibe I'm getting.
Okay.
But it's very delicate. It's like almost cautiously holding on to it. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen with this card. Is the vibe I'm getting. It's
do you want to show our viewers on YouTube? Because we can do that now.
How do they do this? The influencers. We're learning. There we go. No
influencers.
Yes. So that's how I think the card means.
I never saw the cloud. That's interesting that you pointed that out.
You didn't notice the cloud coming out?
Okay. What is the first thing that kind of speaks out to you?
For me, it was the delicateness of the hand.
Okay.
That's what the first thing that I noticed, which is surprising because I'm slight pyro. I love fire. So usually fire is the thing that gets me.
That runs in the family.
It's true. I come by it very naturally. But I noticed the delicateness and the cautiousness of here.
I'm just gonna.
So we have the King of Cups. We have a very like elf-like king holding on to a bubbling cup. And then we have him having a picnic, fruit, another bubbling cup, cheese, and we have like a glacier waterfall in the background.
Ooh.
Something like almost like rushing in, maybe. But the king's back is turned away from the rushing water.
Okay.
So he's up in the corner, facing away from the water, but looking at the picnic in the side. So, and I'll get you to.
Absolutely.
See what your thoughts are.
He kind of reminds me of Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty. Is that weird? How do you see these cards fused together?
So I see this as like ace, gentle, caution, wands, beginning, new beginnings. And then we have the cup, which is very prosperous, full of love. He's just like basking in his positivity of, oh, the fruits of my labor. I'm just going to drink my fancy ass drink here as I walk in the woods and just revel in all the things that are good.
Okay.
That's what I got.
So.
What about you?
I kind of see it, which is really funny. And I think maybe the Two of Pentacles kind of influenced my reading. But I see it as a choice. I don't see them fused together. It's one or the other. There's a nice little division. So I kind of, because what I look at first, I noticed that you saw the Ace of Wands. You looked at the hand first, the delicacy of the hand. I looked at the background first. So in the background, Ali described that there's a little bit of smoke and the hands coming out through it. In front of the smoke are these trees, and they have no leaves. They're dead. And to me, it seems like there's one light for a dead end.
Okay.
So it could be like right now the hand is motioning into the right direction. It's moving out of the clouds. That's the card that I see here. I see the Ace of Wands as being like getting that thought into your mind to move forward and away from the negativity, away from that negative thought process, and pushing forward into a newer light.
Okay.
That's how I see the Ace of Wands. And then the Knight of Cups is the second choice. And he almost looks ignorant.
Yeah, I can see that.
It kind of reminds me of the Fool or the Hermit, maybe, where he's not looking at all of the seriousness that is the waterfall, the rushing behind him. He's not looking at the problem or the risk or the chance of, well, I say chance of death because, I'm hydrophobic.
Did a lot of the water.
But the chance of danger, he's not looking at that. He's not even looking at his food. He's looking at the viewer. Like he's looking at somebody as if like he's waiting for somebody to come. So it's
got a little sly look to his face.
Yeah. And then the bubbling of the drinks kind of makes me think that he's deceitful, because the only thing that really bubbles in a drink back in this time, it's like Victorian time, wine never bubbled.
Okay.
It didn't
poison?
ferment the same way. I thought it maybe was poison.
Oh.
So it's like an alliance with a deal with the devil, if you will. It kind of looks like this one's saying like reach out and obtain the goal that you want to receive by looking into the future, and it kind of ties into our theme a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one of being like, you know what, ignorance is bliss. And it's almost like asking to make a pact to avoid the problem rather than facing it.
See, it's so interesting having the two people who do read tarot and have a basic understanding can see two different things to the same.
Our intuition's so different.
But
I feel like you have a more grasp on intuition itself, just where you've done tarot for so long.
I specifically was training my intuition. Like I would be like, I'm reading this card and then looking in the book, and that was how I taught myself tarot, and it built it.
You used to have a tarot journal,
It
right?
did, yeah.
So you would write down what you thought the card meant, and then you would look at the tarot and you would write down like what it actually
and see how close I was.
Yeah. And then every writer too, I want to mention that as well, with tarot cards, it is based off of your intuition, and there's a book to guide you through it. However, that book is based off of the reader's and the writer's intuition.
Yes.
So the writer is reading it different from how you might perceive it. And it might have a different message than what you expected. I am going to grab the book and I'll let you read it.
Ignition, perfect. Yeah. So we're going to be reading, so the meaning, and then we're going to go into the shadows. So the meaning is inspiration strikes, a new cycle begins, move energy forward in career, passion, pursuit.
Oh!
And someone who was stressing earlier.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
We will later, don't worry. Great power lies within potential strength. Go with your first impulse.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then the shadow, blinding by passion, distracted impulse, knocking others' opinions down, dampening others' excitement and enthusiasm, taking something you love.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. Okay, first of all, I just want to mention the impulsivity. I thought that was really interesting that was a choice for ignition for the Ace of Wands.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Never.
But it's very true. I like that it talked about passion and starting a new career, which is what we are doing.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting.
I like that. So earlier today, we're talking about vulnerability last week. So earlier today, I wanted to do a presentation, and I want to treat this podcast episode specifically into trying to sell Ali goals, even though she is the one who's achieving most of her goals throughout the week. And I'm so proud of her for starting the Strongman training.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that a bit more. But because I was seeing her progress so much with her goals and with her like accomplishments. And then I messaged her last night to see if I could make this podcast into its own little slideshow presentation. Like I was going to do like the game show kind of deal where I was going to try to sell you Smart and see if you would be interested in purchasing it. And then I never heard anything back because she fell asleep.
Yeah.
So my panic started to hit, and there was a few things that kind of, I was seeing all of these things happening and nothing was moving forward, and I started panicking because I was like, okay, now I'm going to be unprepared for this podcast, despite still having everything done. And Allie already had SMART goals accomplished from our last podcast.
Because I was under the impression that we were all set for this.
Yeah.
Because we had already prepped everything. And then I'm finding out now that she's like, oh, I did this, this, and this, which is great. But now I'm coming in feeling like, oh no, I did nothing.
Yeah.
I did nothing.
And because I didn't have the presentation done, I felt like that student who came into class unprepared, and I was just like, I hate my life because I'm not that student.
Right? Even though she had already prepared all this other shit.
Yeah.
But
so that was where my apologies came, because the fears that I had, I started projecting onto her, and I feel really apologetic.
No worries. This is what we're learning. We're growing. We're past it, and it's important to talk about it. So I was like, you really stressed me out with that phone call this morning. I was like, I didn't know I need to be stressed.
We'd be stressed together.
I was like, I didn't know we were stressed.
I'm going down. I'm taking you with me.
But it's good to voice that you were stressed because I had no idea.
Absolutely, and I didn't want to sabotage her. Like, she came down the steps and be like, I'm not ready. I'm stressed, and then have her just deal with that.
But yeah.
So the 30-minute drive to get to my house was not the most pleasant one.
It was just like, oh my God.
When we sat down.
Our prep meeting, there we go.
Yeah, when we prepped, we were like, why were we even worried?
We had nothing to be worried about.
No.
All right, so the King of Cups.
Knight of Cups. She's the Knight of Cups.
So the romantic.
Ooh.
The romance, sweet nothings, charming nature, romantic messages are on their way. Poetry and poise, passionate suitors, dazzling display of affection.
Ooh.
Then the shadows. Clingy, needy for affection and attention. I
fucking told you, this deck attacks me every time. I'm an emotional person, so this
needy
is
for affection and attention, thinking one's talents is far greater than it actually is, unable to commit to a relationship, prone to jealousy, self-indulgent, and self-centered. Successful liars, flair for deception, aware of social standing, and desperate to fit in. Self-indulgent.
Ow. Okay, first of all, fucking rude.
Rude. I think this was just a message for you. Like, no offense.
I do. No,
I love you, but
it's okay.
It's because, like, this to me is very much like,
I was too fixed in my own anxieties that I couldn't see that, like, it was already accomplished. And that's where the romanticism comes in. It's, the love's already there. The passion and the drive, it's already accomplished. But
very thing. So we're going to be taking a pause, and we're going to come back to these cards at the end and see if after what we learned about SMART goals, if these cards stay true, or if this was just a message to us personally instead of related to the podcast.
Yeah, start working on that universe mentality.
Exactly. Have a little drink. I know about you. I'm thirsty. A little sip.
Cheers. Okay, and now we shuffle in.
Yes. So we're going into what's SMART goals. What is a goal? I know nothing, Megan. Tell me what a goal is.
Well, Allison, I'm glad you asked, because we are here to talk about goals.
Goals.
I am going to try to sell this to you within 20 minutes, and then we will talk about our own goals to make sure that I give myself the time to obtain the goals that I need for this podcast.
In a measurable way?
Absolutely.
Oh, interesting.
But I have to make sure that they are attainable in a time frame.
And also specific to you.
Absolutely. They must be very specific.
Yes.
So, Allie, I'm sure you're wondering now, what is a goal?
Do not know. Can you teach me what a goal is?
Absolutely.
Please do.
A goal is a set idea that you put in place either for a short period of time or for a long period of time. For the most part, the goal that I'm going to be discussing with you is a lifetime goal.
Yes.
And that's something that you and I are going to be working on together through
exactly.
this podcast.
Yeah.
And the lifetime goals can be very broad or it can be very specific. It can be narrowed down. I can give you some examples and we'll talk about them a little bit further as we go on to like what goals can be accomplished and how they can be accomplished.
Fantastic.
But there's definitely different types of lifetime goals. Your career, what you want to do with your life, how you want to accomplish that.
Do you only have one career goal?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I thought you had to pick one job and you're done.
No, ma'am. So,
okay.
With your career goals, you can start with something like, let's say you are a director assistant. Your career goal can start with you wanting to be a supervisor. And then you start breaking down how to start becoming a supervisor. So how to obtain that, how to reach that goal by speaking to your directors, by showing initiative, by being disciplined, by showing your hard work and dedication, taking some extra time outside of work to build yourself up and represent yourself as the company. And then after some time, when you become a supervisor, you can change that goal. I've already reached supervisor, so now that's a stepping stone. Let's go further and reach the assistant director. Fuck it, let's even just go and own our own business. You know, like there's so many different routes that you can take within your career, and it's forever changing. But just make sure that you set yourself up with small, obtainable goals first in order to reach that one.
Okay.
And then we can go a little bit further into that as well. There's also financial. So how much you want to make? What's your starting wage? How is this related to your career? Is your career going to reach that wage? Or do you need to start assessing your career and change it again? Yeah. There's also education. So a lot of people who are going to be going to school, what do I want to educate myself in? What do I want to specialize in? Do I want to get a master's in this program? Do I want to get a PhD in this program? Do I want to just scrap all this and go into a trade? Do I want to learn new skills along the way? Is this skill going to impact me in my life outside of work? You know, there's a lot of initiative and a lot of different paths that you can take with regards to all of these goals. There's family. Do you want to be a parent? Do you not want to be a parent?
Yeah, not everyone wants to be a parent. That's A-okay.
Are you okay with just having cats?
Hey, we're cat moms.
How many cats do you want to have?
Ooh.
That's a goal. So are you going to be a good parent? Are you going to work towards yourself to make sure that you're a good parent? And then it goes back to career. Are you going to have enough money to put aside for this child or for this cat or for this dog, parrot, you name it, even a hamster? There's artistic goals. Do you want to achieve an artistic goal? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to make sure to like I'll use an example for me with my artistic goal. I want to be an author. I want to be able to have my book published. I want to get it out there. I also want to have my book put on the movie screen.
Yeah, how amazing would that be?
My 13-year-old self is like fluttering. And there's also, this one I thought was really interesting. There's attitude goals.
I noticed that one more in me, and I noticed that a lot more changes in that because of how I've changed mentally being at the gym, and how not being at the gym for a few months has affected my attitude, the way I speak, and how I was acting at work environment and towards friends, and it was because I wasn't happy with how I was,
even to yourself.
Oh yes,
there's a lot of
negative self-talk sometimes.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just weeding through that to try to figure out where it's coming from. And you knew exactly where it was. And being able to assess that and identify it, it's a really important step to be able to move forward into that goal of like, okay, I don't like the way that I feel when I say these things. I don't like the fact that I can't talk to these people without getting upset. And it's not even their fault. I'm getting upset with myself and I'm putting it out on them. I'm projecting my feelings. I don't like how that's turning out. So that's when you start breaking down and start making bubble points of like, okay, I want to change this attitude. I want to change this perception on this person. So this is what I'm going to do to start working towards myself.
Yeah.
There's also physical goals, which is main goals for Miss Allie here. With fitness, do we have any athletic goals? Do you want to achieve? Do you want to get gold in your next competition? Do you want to make sure that you have good health in your next age? Like my partner, he was confiding in me a little while ago about his health and how he wants to be a little bit more fit. So when we have kids, he can carry the kids for me. He can play with the kids because he doesn't want to have being tired or being not fit for it as an excuse. And like it all goes back to parenting and it goes to fitness as well.
So all these goals can be intertwined?
They can be combined. Absolutely.
Oh, so it's not like a family goal, a fitness goal, a financial goal. They're all like.
You can have multiple goals going on at one point in time because it is your lifetime. But you need to remember that you need to delegate the tasks. They can be combined together and they can form together and meld together in a nice little pot and you can stir it all up. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you put yourself into like certain specific time frames to do these tasks. And we'll go further into that. There's also the pleasure tasks of like making sure that you're taking time for yourself. So people who are going through mental health or even recovering through fitness, taking time for themselves to recover. Taking the steps to go into physiotherapy, what they're going to be doing in physiotherapy, the medication that they have to take, the doctor's appointments that they have to go to visit. There's a lot of factors involved. And then last but certainly not least, there's public services because you can't just volunteer somewhere. You have to take steps in order to reach that volunteer service. People need to know that you're reliable before you go into volunteering.
Yep.
So you have to show that reliability. And we do that by trying to obtain our goals. So with that being said, in order to set your goal, whether it may be for fitness, for fun, for family, for career, whatever you want, you name it, you got it. But how do we obtain it? Well, let me tell you. First, you got to look at it like a Pinterest board.
Ooh, I love a Pinterest board.
Oh, the Pinterest board's inspo?
Oh.
We loves it here. But you got to have a big picture. This is your life.
Do you do like a vision board? I've heard of those, but I've never done them.
Oh, absolutely.
The same idea?
We can, no, a little bit different, but we can definitely get into that a little bit more. The vision board is based off of the big picture. So let's say I'll use the example of getting a house. Let's say you want a house. First thing is first. You got to look at the house. What kind of a house do you want? Do you want a duplex? Do you want a farmhouse? Do you want something closer to the city? Do you want something further away? And then you start breaking down in a large scale of how you want to achieve that.
Yeah.
So by looking at the bigger picture, I want a house. What kind of house do I want? So that's breaking it down into smaller targets that you try to hit throughout your lifetime goal. How much is this house going to cost me? Do I have to account for a husband or a wife and kids? Do I need to account for it being pet friendly if I'm going to have a condo instead of a house?
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors, but once you start breaking down the smaller targets and you hit those targets, that's when you start planning and start working towards planning. It's about the big picture, but the main point is that you break it up as little tiny puzzle pieces and then you can make the big
small stepping stones.
Absolutely. See, look, I'm already selling you on it.
Oh, yes. I'm biting.
So, if I haven't sold you already, I wanted to give you some guidelines to help set effective, achievable goals. The first thing is to state it with a positive statement. Express.
Good old I statements.
Yeah.
I love an I statement.
Me and I. They're important.
They are.
And what's more important is that you don't change it into a negative thinking of, let's say, I did a good job this week. And you said, I could have done more. That's a negative statement.
Yep.
Regardless of if you believe it or not, you are slowly beating yourself up without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned in therapy. And I took a lot of these inspirations from my positive psychology courses.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they don't realize, it's like, oh, that's stupid. I shouldn't have done that. You're beating yourself up.
Yep.
And you don't even realize you're doing it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So by changing it to I should, I could, I wish, I can, I will, and I did.
I love that.
All right. Next is to be precise with your goals. Putting in dates and times and the amount that you want to measure the achievement will help reach that goal faster. And by doing this, you'll know exactly when you achieved the goal, and you can take the satisfaction of knowing that you've done it. About that. Putting it in the planner and crystallizing them gives them more force, gives them more choice, and gives them more of a chance to motivate you. So you get I thought was really interesting. Keep operational goals small. So I have an overachiever. To look at small things and make them into bigger things.
Yes, you do.
But by keeping it low level and working yourself to more small and achievable goals, it's more important to be looking at yourself in that perspective. Look at it through a small lens rather than looking at the big picture itself, because
Yep.
you're going to get overwhelmed and it's going to cause burnout. So keeping
When you're
goals,
looking at a mountain, the idea of climbing that mountain is huge. But if you take one step at a time, you're going to be close to the top of the mountain.
absolutely.
Even if you have to take a step back, or maybe you have to go the longer route, you can still get
Yeah, and you're dreading on the what ifs.
Yeah.
So much more when you're looking at it through the bigger picture, because
It's overwhelming.
You're seeing it for what it is, but when you're taking it one step at a time, you're walking through nature. You're absorbing all that information. You are gaining more knowledge that way than what you would if you were scrambling your thoughts, just seeing this mountain, panicking over it.
Exactly.
But by keeping the goals small and incremental, it gives you the opportunity for more rewards.
Ooh.
And I thought that rewards were a bad thing.
Oh, really?
Because I take them as a almost almost in a negative way.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Like it's a reward. That's like a prize.
I know.
How do you take that negatively?
So just to break out of character for a sec. When my mother had passed away, my grandmother had taught me to like take things a step at a time. And when that's too hard, take it an hour at a time.
Yeah.
And if that's too hard, take it a minute at a time, vice versa.
Yeah.
There were points in my growth period where I would just overwhelm myself with so much. I just wanted to stop everything.
Mm.
And then my therapist recommended me doing the reward system of like, if I make my bed, if I shower, get myself a nice little treat. And I kind of overworked the treat system.
Okay.
So even though I was feeling really good, and I spent maybe 2 years after my mom had passed in grieving therapy, doing the exercises and the tools that they had given me, I still rewarded myself for getting my bed made. I still rewarded myself for getting a shower. And it was like, even though I've already accomplished those steps and I'm not challenging myself further, I'm forcing myself in that little small criteria.
So you weren't expanding your reward
No.
system. You were still rewarding the little things that
Absolutely.
you needed to at the time.
Yeah.
Like some days, yeah, like making your bed, brushing your teeth, showering, those are big goals to get.
Yeah.
But you didn't move past them into bigger goals.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Keeping the goals small and incremental can give you more opportunities for rewards, but make sure that you're challenging yourself with those small goals. So that way it's not like you're keeping consistent with the same goal every day.
Yeah.
And then there's setting performance goals. And this is kind of tying into that. So taking care of the set goals over which you have so much control of. But there's also things that can be disappointing when you fail to achieve the personal goal for things that are beyond your control. So in business, these can be just unexpected effects of the government policy. So there are a lot of setbacks, but making sure that you keep your base goals on your performance, your personal accomplishments, what you can control. You can't control the weather.
Nope.
And you can't control what anybody else does but yourself.
Yeah.
By making sure that you keep that mentality and you keep a positive mentality, you can achieve the goals a little bit better and you can get more satisfaction out of them.
Yes.
And then there's setting realistic goals. So it's very important to set the goals that you can achieve. All sorts of people, like the media, your parents, society, your friends, they can set unrealistic goals for you. I also have the problem of like your friends taking on the goals for you. So when you tell somebody like, I want to go to the gym, I want to do strongman, they start being like, okay, we're going to lift 800 pounds. Like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go 3 times a week. You're going to come with me and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Now they're taking on your goal.
And I do see that as like a positive and a negative.
Absolutely.
So it's good to have friends that keep you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have been very vocal. I'm like, if I'm not doing something by this date, this is when you're allowed to give me grief.
Absolutely.
But I set that expectation because like as an example, which we'll get into, one of my goals was to get back in the gym by October.
Yeah.
I signed up October 31st.
You reached it.
I reached it, but it took me the entire month to do it.
That's
and
awesome.
I had told people, I'm like, don't say anything to me until after October.
Yes.
If I'm not signed up by October, you are allowed to yell at me or give me grief.
Absolutely.
And that's a way of me keeping myself accountable because knowing by November 1st, I would have had a few friends be like, yo, where's that gym membership? I did not see you post it. Where's it at?
What happened?
Exactly. I didn't go until like 4 or 5 days later, but I got the membership. That was the goal. The goal was to get the membership in October.
Yeah.
So I do see friends can push you in a wrong direction with goals,
Yeah.
but they can be useful in helping you be accountable.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because there is always light to a shadow.
Mhm.
And we talked about the starting small, but let's talk about starting smart.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
And we're going to the next one. The clip theme of this week. I don't know if we talked about it. I think we did a little bit, but it is goals and how to set goals. So as I'm sure most of you've heard the term SMART goals, which is SMART. SMART goals mean specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant, and time. So those are, and we're going to go into a little detail about each category so that we can all understand the best way to set goals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back to our goals, what we were originally talking about. So specific. So when you're setting goals, you need to be very specific. And I like to use the 5 whys: who, what, when, where, and how. How is not a wow.
Yeah, no, I agree. Being specific with your goals is really important because a lot of people try to overachieve by being like,
Yes.
oh, I'm going to lose 80 pounds in a year. And that is a very achievable goal. But you have to make stepping stones. Well, I say stepping stones, but you have to make like approachable goals.
Yeah.
That's something that can be attained.
Of going twice a week.
Yeah.
So I'm just adding one more step
Yeah.
into it.
Just
So it
one more
doesn't
hour.
seem so scary
Yeah.
compared to if I was saying, I'm going to go 5 days a week. That's like, maybe that might be able to get there, but that's not
No.
realistic right now.
No, that's where I failed.
So what do you want to accomplish? Why is this goal important to you? Who is involved? Where is it located specifically? Are you going to the gym? So for me, it does not have to be the gym. It is just 3 workouts.
Mhm.
So if I do have strongman training, that counts.
Yeah.
Because I am putting in a workout.
Second's measurable. So it's important to have measurable goals that you can track. Use the term stepping stones. So in my psych degree, that was how we classified achievements for achieving your goals. You had stepping stone placements. You assess your progress to help keep you stay focused, meet your deadlines, and feel the excitement of getting closer to achieving your goals. So a measurable goal should address the questions of how much, how many, and how will I know when it's accomplished? So like for me personally, I have a daily planner. How much, how many, and how will I know when it's accomplished? So like I always go for the sticker trend. So how many glasses of water I wanted, and that's like a really good analogy. How many glasses of water I wanted? 5.
Nice.
How many? I wanted to do it 5 glasses every day. So that's 7 days a week. Did I accomplish that goal? Well, let's check the sticker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having that visual representation of that goal, it's more achievable to accomplish it.
Yes.
By writing it in stone, you can accomplish it because once you step past that, you've already reached it,
Mhm.
and you just keep moving forward.
So the next one is achievable. You want to set realistic goals and
Mhm.
small goals and like so far away. So being smaller goals, being more achievable, being realistic. How and giving questions as to how I can accomplish this goal. There's smaller goals, more realistic goals.
It's easy to do. It's just hard to follow.
Hard to follow.
Yeah.
The accountability coming back. In other words, if you stretch your abilities but still remain possible, when you are achieving goals, you must be able to identify the previous overlooked opportunities or resources that can bring you closer to your goals. How can I accomplish my goals? How realistic is my goal? Based on circumstance, such as financial factors, time, which was another factor it's part of the SMART goal, but time. Yes, it's good to have that goal in a time frame, but they have to be realistic.
Side factors that, like, you know, you can still reach your realistic goals. You can achieve whatever you put your mind to, but you also have to accommodate for outsiding factors.
Absolutely.
Speaking of,
Perfect segue.
perfect segue. It's actually quite spot on with me and staying relevant.
Mhm.
I have a hard time keeping up with the relevant topics. I tend to I may or may not be diagnosed with ADHD. That's another story for another day. But I tend to jump onto different topics each time. My mother used to say that I was a lily pad hopper.
Oh, cute.
Because I would hop from one conversation to the next. So with being relevant, it's the step to keep ensuring that your goal matters to you. It's making sure that it's relevant to your situation and relevant with your other goals. So we all need to find a support and assistance in achieving your plan. So yeah, it's really important to retain the control over this, over these goals and over this mindset, and to just make sure that your plans drive everything forward so that you're still responsible for achieving your own goal. So this is actually really being responsible for ourselves, making sure that we're achieving those goals for it.
And just because you change your goals doesn't mean you failed your goals. That one took me a while. Like I was like when I had to pull out of my first competition because of my hip and the pain I was in, I was devastated. I thought I failed.
Yeah.
But in reality, I did not fail. I postponed the goal of doing a strongman competition
Yeah.
until I was ready. Because if I had done it then, I would have hurt myself.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
And I think that's a really important thing to
Yeah.
discuss because like a lot of people, they tend to like overwhelm themselves with the ideology that they have to keep consistent with the
Yeah.
same plan that they started with. That's not the case.
Right?
It's relevant to the time that you're at now, the present moment that you're at. And you are looking at the goal of having that accomplished. You're not looking back to see what could have been fixed, what could have been corrected. And if you are, there's always going to be something that slips through.
Mhm.
And you have to accommodate for that.
Exactly. And the T in SMART is time. Every goal takes time, and you need to set yourself a target. If you don't have a target, you're never going to accomplish it because it's just like, oh, I'll get there. Oh, I'll get there. So you need to have a deadline to focus and work towards being like, and that's what I like monthly goals. That's one thing I really enjoy is like, okay, it's there's point A to point B, and I have X amount of time to do it. This part of the SMART goal criteria helps to prevent everyday tasks from taking priority over your long-term goals. A long-term goal will usually answer these questions. What do you want in the next 6 months? What do you want in the next 6 weeks? And what can I do today?
Today, whatever.
Yeah. See, that's what I don't really do year goals. I think that's too long for me. Like I can't grasp that. Too much can change in a year.
That's true.
I like to do monthly and 6 months.
I cannot even do 6 months.
You can't, then that's fine.
6 weeks is probably like the most that I can accomplish.
Mhm.
I tend to do things like a step at a day.
Like my 6 months goals, it's a very broad topic. It is not specific. It is not a SMART goal. It is just a target to
Yeah.
work towards. And then I use my SMART goals to get to that 6 month goal, which we'll go into later. But yes,
Technically, it is because it's the S in SMART, specific.
but it's not specific. It's like a pinpoint.
Yeah,
It's like it's a destination.
I still feel like that's specific.
You think?
Yeah.
See, I don't see it that way. I see it as like
It doesn't have to be like this is the bubble points
But-
to add to it.
so I see that's what I think SMART goals are the bubbles. So when I think of as an example book wise, plot. That's my 6 month goal. But the who, what, when, where, how is my SMART goals.
Oh,
That's how I break it down.
Okay. See, because when I think like with regards to the first letter of SMART being specific, setting that goal for yourself. So saying I'm going to write a book.
Mhm.
That is specific.
Yeah.
That's the 6 month plan.
Okay.
But how are you going to break that down? And then you go into the measurements. And that's the bubble format. And
Okay.
then you go into
It's interesting how we have different breakdowns of SMART goals. All right. So do you want to do a little recap on what SMART goals mean?
I do. Okay, so SMART, like we just said, is specific. M is measurable goals. Achievements, yeah, achievable. R is relevant. And T is time management. Talking about how we see things from different perspectives, how we organize SMART.
Right?
We
That's
learn
so-
things at different paces. And learn
Yeah. And it's
just differently in
interesting to
general.
see how different brains break down, like say, like just even how your vision of
how we
spec-
understand it.
yeah, how we
Yeah.
understand SMART goals is interesting.
And we're back. So, Allie, now that I've described to you what a goal is and how to obtain it, and SMART.
Yeah, SMART. So SMART, we're just a little quick recap, is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time. correct?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I'm a little rusty, but I want to make sure I could remember those ones.
Sounds like you know you're smart.
I know my smart. I know what I'm talking about some days, depending, most days.
Big
But
pretty
it's
amazing.
the most part about with the SMART goals is making sure that you are setting up realistic expectations.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important part of SMART. Things happen in life. Life changes. Life throws you snowballs, curveballs, any kind of ball right in your face.
Yeah.
And you have to change your goals and adapt to that.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success by giving you steps to follow.
Absolutely.
So as an example, one of the goals I had was, I mentioned earlier, was going to the gym in the month of October.
Mhm.
So I had done my research into looking at the different gyms that I have in my area, being like, okay, which one can I afford? Looking at the different pricing, being like, oh, maybe I don't want to go to a commercial gym. Maybe I want to go to the CrossFit gym.
Mhm.
Maybe I want to just focus on strongman. Doing your research to help so that you will be successful.
Yeah, it's your own little version of a mood board.
It is. And then like I want to reward myself and highlight those moments.
Mhm.
So like say I posted on my Instagram, Allie_strongwoman. I posted that I had gotten my gym membership. So I was a milestone that I wanted to, and that was a big step for
Something
me.
is set in stone.
It's set in stone, and it was a big milestone for me
Mhm.
because I was really nervous when I left the gym. I was nervous that I would be done going to the gym, and it's something I knew I need to make a priority to. So I wanted to highlight that milestone because it was important.
Yeah.
And you also have to like identify the resources. My resources and were my friends being like, if I knew by November 1st, they would be chirping at me being like, where's that gym membership?
Mhm.
So giving up on the control of others, being like, no, I need to take this in.
Yeah.
This is my goal, not my friends' goals. This
Yeah.
is something that I am doing for me, and I need to be doing it and sticking to what I said I was going to do.
Absolutely. Keeping yourself accountable.
Exactly. And so sometimes you have to change your goals. So the original goal was to be back in the gym in September.
Mhm.
I had life events. I had to move. There was a lot of things happening. I couldn't
So
go
many
then.
factors.
But I still made it move my goal and change my goal. So it wasn't a September goal, it moved to an October goal.
Mhm.
So because it was something that I knew that I needed in my life, something that I wanted to prioritize. But I technically failed the goal because I didn't get it in September. But I don't see it as a failure. I see it as moving and adapting to what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
I had to change my goal because it wasn't realistic to move completely to a different part of the area. I now have 30 extra minutes travel time, gas, seeing costs. I had to adjust and see where that would fit into my life.
Mhm.
So that's why I took that extra month to be like, no, I'm not doing it in September, but I will be doing it in October.
Yeah.
Type of situation.
I gotta ask you a question now.
Yeah.
So you said the F word. The F word.
Failure.
But now, because you changed your goal, does that mean you failed, or does that mean that you have to redirect your goal?
It was definitely more redirect,
Mhm.
but I had to do, once again, the word choice you use, the language, the way you speak to yourself. I had to change that because originally I thought of it as a failure,
Yeah.
but I had to be realistic and be like, this is not realistic to go through these many life changes in 1 month and make it attainable and workable in your life.
Yeah.
So it was a redirect, but when it first happened, I was like, oh, this isn't what I wanted. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to only take a month off.
So what you're saying, just because you didn't accomplish the goal that you originally started with, doesn't mean that you ended off failing your goal.
No, I did not fail the goal. Exactly.
End goal.
So defining an end goal, you need to be making sure have a list of steps in place so that you're able to follow something, a guideline, so to speak, to making
Okay.
sure that you are able to have a roadmap, have a direction, a way to go, something to follow. But you also need to prioritize the tasks to make sure they are getting done.
Mhm.
That's coming in with the time management, talking about setting deadlines, goals, being like, I'm doing this by this date. So it's something that you want to have like written down so that you can visually see it. Like this is a pinpoint, I guess,
Yeah.
as a way we can use it to making sure
A
we're
checkpoint.
a checkpoint, exactly, milestone, stepping stones, all these terms that you want to use.
Absolutely.
And to once again, you want to celebrate those milestones too, because like big goals are hard, and if you don't celebrate the small wins, you're never gonna you're never going to get to that final top of the mountain
Yeah.
because it's just
You're going to be
too
dreading
far.
it.
It's not that you're going to be dreading it, but it's setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And with too high of expectations,
Mhm.
without celebrating the little steps along the way. Because anyone who gets anywhere in life, they don't just instantly get there. They have to work towards it.
Mhm.
And to get those big goals, to start a podcast, to be a successful podcast, like there's a lot of time, prep, and energy that goes into that.
Yeah.
And so we need to be recognizing those small little things, like our first episode being posted. Like that's going to be a big milestone for us,
Mhm.
because especially for us, because we already did it. We recorded a whole bunch of episodes, and then we started over.
Yeah.
So the first time we post is going to be a big day, and we need to
Absolutely.
celebrate those big days to making sure that it motivates us to move forward.
Mhm.
We also want to monitor, evaluate, and update our goals based on life situations.
Mhm.
So, like having a realistic expectations of we're not going to be posting over Christmas.
Yeah.
And 20 in a year is a great time, and make sure that we are holding each other accountable and making sure we're going through the right steps to achieve our goals.
Absolutely. No, I like that. And even with regards to changing based off of life events, like you were saying earlier about your gym membership, you originally wanted to start in September, but there were so many life changes that came into fruition. You just kind of had to like, hold up,
Wait a minute.
pause it. You had to draw back, assess the situation, be like, okay, these are things that are out of my control. I can't change this, but I can change the date of when I start my gym membership. I can change the timeframes that I wanted to start this. I just wanted to like mention this because in our other podcast, we kind of dropped off the effect of SMART goals. And in a funny way, we didn't accomplish the goal that we originally started with that specific podcast in mind, because we completely redirected this podcast. We
Yeah.
changed the way that we wanted to engage the audience. We changed our setting, and we changed ourselves over time.
Yeah.
As humans always do. But I wanted to talk about, like, with regards to discouragements, because I'm a really bad procrastinator.
Yeah.
I tend to wait last minute to get things done. So with people like me, I'm just wondering, what are some ways that we can eliminate distractions so we can focus on our steps to reach our goals?
So there's many different ways to make sure you fulfill your goals, and so you keep on going through. So sometimes, like maybe you need to set out specific times with like headphones on to go and edit the podcast and put out blockers, block out the rest of the world. I know some people are timers to help them focus on what they are doing at the moment. Having a productive space and environment to help you get to those attainable goals. And maybe like turning your phone off for a certain period of time. There's all these steps that you can do to set yourself up for success. And it's different for everyone. Like for me, I can't work in complete silence. I'll have background music, but I can't have music with lyrics because I'm going to sing along, but I want music.
Yeah.
But if I'm just in the office with no music, I'm like, And I do well with timers. I'm like, I'm going to set a timer for an hour. I'm going to hard clean the house. And then after that timer is done, I can relax and do something.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I was productive for only an hour, but an hour of productivity is still really great.
It's still an hour.
It's still an hour.
Absolutely. And there's so many YouTube videos that you can watch. Like I personally, I'm the same way. I cannot have lyrics in the background because then I focus too hard. Now, when I'm cleaning the house, it's a different story.
Yes.
I can be scatterbrained as much as I want with this cleaning. But when I'm dedicated to writing or working on the podcast or even like doing an at-home exercise, I still need to have something called a Pomodoro timer.
Mhm.
So a Pomodoro, I might be saying it wrong, but a Pomodoro is a tomato plant. And it takes 20 days to grow.
Okay.
So the way that they converted the timer is that you do 20 minutes of dedicated time, and then you'd have 4 minutes of relaxation. So like
I've heard of that. Yep.
Go use the washer, grab water, change into slippers, go into something more cozy, find a new place to sit down, even just to stand up for 4 minutes.
Mhm.
I feel like that's the best encouraging way that I can like accomplish my goals. And then there's also YouTube videos where there's people doing their work and they set the timers for you. So they're working for 40 minutes and then they're like, I'm going to take a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
Because that's the time that works for me. And it kind of feels nice, like yourself when you're going to the gym. It's nice to see other people working out with you or having a trainer beside you that's going through the turmoil with you, that's going through the pain and the determination to accomplish the sets that you have made for yourself that day. It's really nice to see other people going through that struggle.
It is, yes.
But let's say that you have a lot of distractions at home. What do you do then?
Put on like headphones, get yourself into a zone. But also if that space doesn't work for you, don't go to those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So like you need to find what works for you. Like coffee shops have never been work for me.
No.
I find them very distracting. It's not too loud. There's too many people. And like too many people coming and going, and I'm people watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a place for me to be productive.
Yeah.
So you got to feel what works for you and change based on what helps you.
But then when I'm home, I'm distracted because I'm seeing that there's dishes in the sink and stuff like that. So I like going to my public library, and it's seeing everybody doing their work that helps me. So now that we came back from our water break,
it's time to talk about goals. Our goals specifically.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your goals? Because you've gotten a lot of steps done this week.
Sure. So my goals have been really interesting, and we were actually going to have this conversation earlier, but I kind of paused it because I feel like it would be good to have on the podcast.
Yeah.
So my goals are pretty much the same as they were in May. Was it April? When did we start this? April, May?
It was April. Yeah.
April. So my goals are still the same. Go to the gym, meal prep, drink more water, journal.
Absolutely.
So, and you see that as a success.
Absolutely.
I see it as a failure.
But just because you have the same goals, like it goes.
But it means to me. So to me, it's I'm not completing them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and so part of it, yes, like part of the goals, I'm like, some of the goals I see them as I am keeping up with that goal. Like going to the gym, like for the most part, that was keeping up. And then I took a little break, and now I'm resetting and bringing it back into that goal.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, I feel like a broken record.
You feel that you've been paused or that you failed your goal. I see it as you changing the timeline for your goal, because this is a lifetime goal you have set up for yourself.
But I guess to me, I'm not seeing my small milestones.
Yeah.
I think is what it is, because they're just like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Like my new goal for November 11th to January 11th, the day before my birthday,
Absolutely.
is to go to the gym twice a week and do strongman once.
Yeah.
So that's working out 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But that is something, that's the same goal I've had for 3 years.
Yeah.
So to me, that's
maintaining.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with it right now that I'm thinking about it.
You've disciplined yourself in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to encourage you. You disciplined yourself in the past to go 3 times a week, and you've committed to that. Mm-hmm. Just because your life had to pause a little bit on this goal, there's so many outside factors, Allie.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I
feel like you're focusing on the fact that your
goals, my goals are the same.
Yeah.
How am I progressing if my goals are the same?
It's maintaining them.
But you were just explaining about the muscles. They're the same weight.
Yeah, but I mean, if you took a pause in order to organize your outside life, because you had to move, you're also dealing with summer. And you work with children, so like that's a big step, and you had to prep that before the summer actually started.
Yes.
And then on top of that, there was so much turnover for your workplace that you had to manage that as well, because you are the assistant director. There's so many factors involved in your personal life. I don't think that you should be looking at yourself and being like they're the same goals. I think you should be looking at this and being like, I'm maintaining the same thing that I had set up for myself in the past, but I'm going to do better.
But how, I guess my question is, how do I make it better? Because looking at the goals I wrote down, and that's why we kind of stopped the conversation.
Yeah.
Is because I felt like this would be a good thing to talk about, is because like when I'm looking at those goals, like go to the gym twice a week, whatever. And that I agree with me. It's getting back in because I put that on pause. I do see that as a goal right now.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking back that's been the same goal that I've had.
Okay.
And I don't see the progression.
Could I give a little maybe suggestion?
Yeah.
So with your goal of going to the gym twice a week and then going to strongman once, upping your weight, upping the time that you spend at the gym rather than But you still started on a lower weight. You went to the gym, you
Mhm.
started 30 minutes at a lower weight. As you slowly get back into the gym, you're going to go for an hour. You're going to go for 2 hours. Instead of starting with 80 pounds, you're going to go to 100, 120 pounds. You're going to, instead of going in and doing the logs, instead you're going to do the farmer's carry. You are going to change your steps to achieving the 3 times a week. And I'm just blending the 3 times together, like 2, 1.
Yeah.
You're going to be changing that by the amount of weight that you're upping yourself, the amount of time that you're dedicating to doing the exercises. The exercises itself, you're going to be changing. So, although the title of your goal is the same, I still feel like you are moving forward into achieving that
Mm.
because you are changing the progress throughout the gym.
Mhm.
That's what I think is an accomplishment.
I do see that point. Yes, I do see the progression of the gym and like adding the weight on. I do agree with that. And yes, starting with time wise. But to me, and I guess like looking at meal prep and water and journaling, like those are the same goals I've had all year.
Okay.
And I think it's because like meal prep I'll do for a little bit and then I'll fall off.
Mhm.
Water and journaling I've never really gotten back on track. I used to do really well with them.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten back on track with those ones yet.
Well, maybe even like when you're talking about meal prepping, starting your week off by being like, okay, this is what I want to cook within the week. And you can spread it throughout the month. So you do 2 to 3 meals a week. You can take from those 6.
Mhm.
But you are like giving yourself that stepping stone of finding the recipes by making the ingredients and putting it together, incorporating it.
Mhm.
After you get a good groove of it, because I don't think we talked about this. One of the main reasons why goals fail is because people focus on bad habits
Mm.
and they maintain the bad habits without even realizing it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
There is someone called Susan. I can't remember her last name, but her first name is Susan. And she published a book in around 2016, and I read it. It's called 21 Changes.
Mm.
And essentially, she and some other researchers have mentioned that it takes 21 days for you to
Mhm.
break out of a bad habit.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
So it's really difficult to break out of a bad mindset, but it's also difficult to break out of a bad habit. Like for me, when I get up in the morning, first thing I do is I look at my phone.
Mhm.
That is a bad habit, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because, like, yes, it's nice to turn off your alarm. Yes, it's nice to respond to people because after 9, I just don't look at my phone typically. And I'll put it on do not disturb mode. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll turn it off and then I'll start immediately responding. So it's like Megan goes into work mode as soon as she wakes up. And then that's where the anxiety comes in for my brain. And I feel like this is kind of the way that you're looking at your goals too. You feel like you're behind and you're trying to catch yourself up. And then you're also looking at it and you're like, well, fuck, I haven't changed anything. So like where do I go? What do I need to do in order to like make this different? I don't think you need to make anything different. I just think you need to get a bit more specific.
And that's kind of what I've thought of too, is so like one of the things that I did a couple times this month was because like I'm not focusing on calories, I'm more focusing on protein and like the ratios
Okay,
for that's how I haven't really started it yet, but that's something I've been thinking about. And I thought about if I plan my meals like on the app, like it's MyFitnessPal, my meals the night before on the app, I have something to go towards.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that I've done a couple times and it's worked well. So that's one of the things I'm planning to add into this plan
Yeah.
is to be like, once I have my meals prepped and like have it already done, I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm going to have today. And that way I can see ahead of time, be like, oh, and then I can add in the other things. Like, if I don't eat that tuna salad and rice cakes. I love tuna and rice cakes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'll take it off the list.
Yeah.
But most of the work is done on the app, so I can track, and then I can go on and say, "Oh, I'm really hungry right now," and that looks like, "Oh, I haven't had like barely any protein today."
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that.
So that's one of the things that I'm planning to do going forward.
You have a very large water bottle, so I know that you're very dedicated to drinking water, and you want to.
But I really haven't been. That's the thing. Like, and that's when I need to figure out what is missing because like I used to drink like it's a 40 ounce.
She's a big. I think she's 42.
40 ounces, 1.2 liters.
Oh, okay.
There's your point too. And I used to drink like 3 of these a day.
Yeah.
Now I barely get one.
See, my problem is I can't handle big glasses like this, and I'm a straw girl.
And I was actually thinking like maybe I need to switch up the water bottle
Yeah.
into like with the straw because I do enjoy drinking straw. And I
Yeah.
know one thing for me is like I like it cold,
Yeah.
so making sure my ice is on, so I have ice in the water. So like there's something that I need to switch up with my water intake
Yeah.
because it's not where it used to be, where I know it can be, and I don't know what it is. So
See-
maybe it's the water bottle.
Yeah. For me, it's the size of the water bottle. So like the straw is something that you brought on. So thank you for that. But for me, it's the size of the water bottle. So I like the running water bottles, the ones that you can put on your sides and
Okay.
you have in the belt, because once they're empty, I have to refill it. And that's the thing that pushes me to drink more water.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not drinking large amounts in short periods of time. I'm drinking short amounts in short periods of time. So then I kind of push myself forward to keep refilling them.
Okay.
I feel like maybe even having a clear, I don't know if there's like a clear thermos that you can get so you can see how much water you're drinking. And then that kind of like holds yourself accountable, being like, this is still half full.
Yeah.
I need to drink a little bit more and then I can fill it up at my lunch break.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that in the straw, like you said. Yeah.
But like I'm not drinking enough water.
Or the night before, make sure that you like fill up, because I don't know how your ice machine works, but you need to like add water to it in order for the ice to flow, right?
Yep.
So maybe even like the night before, be your own best friend and fill up that ice machine. So that way in the morning, you know that you have.
So similar because like I don't like it running all overnight.
Oh, okay.
So what I did before was I would take the tray,
Yeah.
fill it with ice, put it in the freezer, and so I'd have the ice ready for the morning.
Oh, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just need to get back into those good habits.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, is breaking the bad habits and starting the good. And my grandfather always told me it's just as hard to break good habits as it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's really what's holding you back. It's like you're focusing so hard on the fact that your goals haven't changed. And to be quite honest, mine haven't changed much either. I'm just being a bit more specific with them.
Yeah.
And giving myself those time frames so that way I don't set myself up for failure, because I'm very procrastinative. I feel like I'm not disciplined because I tend to give myself rewards for the little things. And I have problems with accepting that and being like, okay, you know what, you have to accept the small things and, revel over the accomplishments rather than being like, okay, well, I only got that done.
Yeah.
Changing my negative thoughts into a positive mindset.
Yes, that's definitely the mindset is huge.
It's so important. And
so what are your goals?
Oh, absolutely. We can get right into that. Starting the working on my novels. And that was a big thing. And I did get some of them started. Mm-hmm. And I kind of blurted it out over the phone with you, but just in a more calmer setting. I spoke with an editor.
Yes, you were saying.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
But they are definitely excited for my book to be released. One of them even mentioned that she already has a plan for her outfit for the release date. And I was like, that is so...
Wow.
I know, it took it into such a real perspective, and I was just like, I'm not ready for this. I don't think I'm ready for this. And that's where the perfectionism comes in, and also the imposter syndrome of being like, I'm not a good writer. So by having people like encourage me like that, it just fucking made it so real and scary. And I was just like, wow, this is intense. And they were even mentioning, because they're proprietors, so they have a small business connected to a large business.
Okay.
So they mentioned that they were going to talk to the larger business with regards to like helping me publish my book.
Ooh.
And even selling it.
Nice. That's awesome. That's so exciting.
It is really exciting, but it's also terrifying because I changed Birdcage again. Yep. So I just fucking kicked it out from underneath myself. Good. And I'm moving forward with it. And it's actually moving a lot faster than I ever expected it to.
Good. No, it's exciting.
And then having that person look at it and edit it. Well, she didn't edit it. She just reviewed it. And she's like, well, if you ever need somebody to like edit your chapters, just let me know. And she's like, but it seems like you're doing really well. Like, I really enjoy it. And the descriptions are a lot, but they're not too much. Like, they bring you into the story more so.
Because I know that was a concern of yours.
It's a big concern. I thought I was going to go Stephen King on this shit. Like, I was not ready. So with that being said, I did have all of these ideas set up. And I felt like I was also failing because I started my novels, but I kept restarting my novels. And then I was never going anywhere because I was just going in circles. So I understand where your feelings are coming from with that. So with my 3-month goals, I'm going to be starting school in January. So my main concern is like setting myself up to prepare for January.
Yep.
And I'm going to be doing a journalism communications program. It is a postgraduate program, and it's going to help rebuild those connections with other editors. It's going to help me find a publisher, and it's also going to help me maybe find an editorial position.
Yeah.
Because like that's my end goal in career. I want to be an editor.
Yeah.
So I might even go into marketing. I have no idea what the plan is yet.
Yeah.
But my main goal is that
Options.
I want to find a job in my field of interest, and I want to publish my book. And like we're setting out guidelines to get there. I also want to, with regards to my fitness and my wellness, I've been taking walks every other day. It has not been daily because it's been very rainy and gross here on the island. But every other day when I notice that it's not too windy or it's quite nice. So go for a little walk to Victoria Park and then I'll come back. And that's roughly around 10,000 steps. So I started making it a goal to like walk daily 10,000 steps. I feel like that's accomplishable. And I talked to my dad about this because like he is a advocate for walking being the best exercise.
Yes.
And although it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. Rain, snow, or shine, I'm going to be putting on my sneakers and I'm going to walk 10,000 steps.
There you go.
Even if it's 5,000 steps in the morning and then 5,000 steps at night, either way, 10,000 steps can be accomplished. Or even if it's dancing in my living room, I can get those steps done.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to get that set up, and I've already shared my writing a little bit, but I'm going to share it a little bit more.
Good.
Maybe even like try to find an outlet online where I can post it. And then
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, is there like I know like back in the Tumblr days? Was that
Yeah.
Is that for? I never did Tumblr, so I don't know.
My favorite thing.
I never did Tumblr, but I feel like they would post like blurbs and excerpts and stuff like that. I don't know if that's a thing.
Wattpad. So it is a forum for people to just share their short stories, their poems, and even chapters, if so be. And I had an app. I had Wattpad on my phone. God, 2012, 2013. I started writing like a really cringy story about my mother passing, and I wanted to like share my pain. So I used Wattpad as an outlet, and I did have some people reach out to me saying that they really enjoyed it, and then I stopped because I panicked. I was like, anxiety kicked in.
Yep.
So I might go back into Wattpad and post a few things, see if people interested. And there's also Newfoundland Heritage. Yeah. So where I'm a Newfoundlander, despite my writing not being about Newfoundland, I do want my community, my Newfoundlanders, to be they're very important to me as a person.
Of course.
And my heritage is very important to me. And I want to bring that culture in with my writing. So despite it not being based off of Newfoundland specifically, I am a Newfoundlander and I want to be published as a Newfoundland author.
Oh, okay.
So I need to speak with Newfoundland Heritage Committee and maybe communicate with them like, hey, I'm trying to push forward and get a book published, and I am a Newfoundlander, and I'm just wondering if you'd back me up on this. Maybe I can get a little bit of a sponsorship, or I can like have them as a giving thanks to, and add them into my book and add that little element of like Newfie heritage, or something. And then you never know. I might even in the future, I might write a little book about my experience with Newfoundland culture and like how it's changed when I went from one island to the next, you know? And then last but certainly not least, I have the marketing my writing through the committee here in PEI. So not only am I going to be broadcasting myself as a Newfoundland publisher, I have a friend who's been writing poetry, and she and we sat down and we wrote a poem together while we were working together, and she read it in front of the gallery. I might be going with her this month, and she wants me to do open mic with her and we read the poem together.
Do it.
So I'm going to kind of market myself out there.
Do it.
So that's the 3-month plan. And it's really scary, but it is fairly similar to the plan that I had set up 6 months ago, despite the financial situation.
Yeah.
Starting the writing, I've started the writing. Now I'm moving the stepping stone further and I'm starting the publishing aspect. The chance of actually going out there. And Stephanie Meyers, she was an inspiration for me. She wrote Twilight.
Yep.
Although they might have wrote something at a very early age, Stephanie Meyers never published her first novel. And J.K. Rowling, they never published their first novel until they were 29.
Oh, yeah.
So that gave me so much more hope because I felt so behind.
Yes, I remember you saying that when we
Yeah.
first started talking about your book. I'm like, girl, you're fine. But you want to have a book published by now. So what are our goals for this podcast? So, yes.
Oh. All right, do you want to talk about the dream aspect of the podcast?
Oh,
or do you
well,
wanna
the
talk about the actual
couches,
goals?
the lights in the back, the cameras.
Nice little neon
We got
sign.
both sides. Oh, yeah.
Girl shuffle in the
Right.
back.
Those are the
I'm
long-term.
seeing velvet in our future.
Velvet. Ooh, as long as it's purple, I'm okay with it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know it. So yes, our goals for this podcast. So one of the goals I had is to do 20 episodes. I wanted, because I know I was a little disheartened when we stopped in April and May.
Yeah.
And it was life, but I was a little disheartened because like we had put so much work, we put so much effort in, and that was a concern I had when we restarted. I'm like, are we really going to be doing this? Like, there's no point in it if we're not going to be posting, and committing to something. What is the point? What are we doing? We're just talking to each other, and we don't need all this setup.
Yeah.
Like type of situation.
All the wires.
Just couch. And so I wanted to commit to 20 episodes. Is to be posting on our Instagram and you're going to be handling the Insta 3 times a week, and we'll maybe more than that. We want to make sure that we're not having too high of a goals for that. And we really want to get your feedback and see if we want to do this. And then if you guys really like this, I'm all right with going all in. But I'm like, I'm in that, no one's going to watch us. No one's going to like us situation.
I have faith in us.
You do, because I'm just like, no one's going to care about this.
I think we needed that break to like reassess and be like, you know what, this wasn't working and this is why, and this is how we can change it.
Yeah.
I feel like that was really important for us to grow.
Looking back on what these tarot cards mean, so we'll pull up the book real quick because it has been a little bit of time making sure we're saying the correct thing.
We got the Ace of Wands, which is the ignition, and then we have the Knight of Cups, which is a romantic card.
So yeah, I have the Knight right here. Romantic, sweet nothing, charming nature, a romantic message, poetry, poise, passion, suitor, dazzling affections, and then we have it in the shadows, clean. I think this is just a warning to us about not being this. Is the vibe I got.
Yeah.
So clingy, needing affection and attention, thinking our talents is far greater than our actual ones. That is complete opposite for us.
Yeah.
We think we're useless, when in reality we're pretty cool.
I think we're all right.
I'm able to commit to a relationship, prone to jealousy, self-indulgent, self-centered, making sure that we're communicating with each other, that we're not putting too much on one person or one taking too much burden.
Yeah.
Aware of social standings, like not getting fixated on that, and like it's an important thing because social media is its own
little forum.
It's its own form, and it's important to be adaptable and committed to it, but you don't need to be focused.
I want to mention this with regards to the Ace of Wands. It's an ignition. I do agree with you with the warning. I feel like it's telling us, with our impulsivity, if we come in here too hot-headed, if we come in here too fast with such high expectations for ourselves, which is where the idea of our shit's better than everyone else's and our shit don't stink. I feel like this is telling us that if we are being impulsive and we are rushing into this, then we are going to fall down with that negative mindset.
Yep.
And I truly believe, I think you're right in that aspect. These cards actually do tell a story together. It's the warning of you're getting too close to the sun and you're gonna burn. And yeah,
I think so.
That's how I feel about this reading now after going into the podcast and discussing with you a little bit more.
Yeah.
I definitely see them tied together.
Yeah. I do. I stand by it being like the spark of it, but not getting too indulgent, too romantic, realistic.
Romanticizing the possibilities, more focusing on the realities.
Exactly.
And I kind of like, I hope you're okay with this. I kind of want to switch the direction of the cards because if you've ever been to a waterfall, you would know that mist comes off the waterfall stream.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if the waterfall, the dangers of being too impulsive is making us blind to the realities of the situation, and we're just romanticizing the idea of everything ahead. And that's where the mist is coming from with the hand. It's
Okay.
the end of the waterfall.
Maybe. I can do that. Yeah. I can see how it's switched that way. Because it's funny, the way I read it now, I read it in reverse.
Yeah, you did.
And it's just so how I just did that.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. I truly believe.
And to me, like the first card I saw was this one.
Yeah.
Because you were picking the one up on the floor that I dropped.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we were reading it in reverse.
Maybe.
This is our warning. This is our outcome.
Yeah.
So once again, I'll read what the Ace of Wands means. Inspiration strikes. A new cycle begins. Moving energy forward in career, passion pursuits. Great power lies within us. Potential, strength. Go with your first impulses. And then we also have like talking about distracted by impulse, knocking other people's opinions down, dampening others' excitement and enthusiasm, taking something you love and desire and burying it deep within you until it transforms into something else.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be the other way around.
I agree. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, so we'll show you the cards once again. So this is the Knight of Cups.
Beautiful.
And then we have the Ace of Wands.
Oh, the cards are just like
They are gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
listening. I also love.
All right. So is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap this bad boy up?
I'm good. I'm ready for some chicken noodle soup.
All right. So where can you find us there, Megan?
Oh God, you're.
Yep.
you're
You want to try? I guess
We're gonna
I can
try
try
this
this.
again?
So you can find me on Allie_strongwoman, and you can find Megan here at Hendora_readings, and you can follow us on YouTube and Instagram at SG Shuffle Podcast.
Make sure that SGS in the beginning of that is capitalized, and then you'll find us there.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something. And I think our next podcast might be about strongman. You get to see me nerd right out.
I'm so excited.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a fun one.
Yeah.
And
I hope we sold smart to you.
yeah, I hope so. I hope you learned something. Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I need to get used to saying that.
I
know. And so we'll be chatting with you very soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.